This conference will now be recorded.
So we had seen an overall, if you, while we are discussing as to the changes that we had seen as part of this SAP S/4HANA, we saw some of the tile-based settings right in the initial session. Then we saw about some of the changes, for example, on the SAP SRM and procurement solution, which cannot be embedded onto the same system. And we saw about the co-deployment of SAP SLC, that is your supply lifecycle management again, which has to be which can be integrated into the SAP S/4HANA Grow because name as a supplier and category management. That's what we saw in our last session. So the other changes that are coming, especially, is basically as far as the master data simplification is concerned, predominantly it is a business partner changes. Let me business partner where you have a vendor and as for customer integration. So it's come as a business partner. That is one of the major change. So while discussing about the vendor partner, uh, let me show you there are some partner profiles as well when you want to have a partner roles as well that is all defined in the system. So I'll just show you. So where is let me show you. Okay. So when you talk about this metals management under purchasing, so I have a partner termination. Then you have your partner roles. Under partner roles, you define all your partner roles. So partner roles could be again it could be a ship to party, it could be a supplier hierarchy, it could be a contact person. You have different partner roles. So because every partner role there is an alphanumeric key, basically which consists up to two characters. That is all you can maintain as an alphanumeric key as a part of the two characters. So and some descriptive text based on which this is how your partner automation roles have all been defined in the system. This all comes because this is when you talk about the partner roles when it comes to a vendor. So again, these partner roles, it could be an ordering address, it could be a bidder, it could be, so these are all your partner roles. Similar to your SD, right? You have a sold to party, ship to party, your bill to party, and your payer. Similar in the vendor side, you have this sort of partner roles that have been defined in the system. Then So then you maintain the language, yeah, similar to the partner roles. Again, depends or against the partner function. What is the partner languages that has been defined? This is where you assign the so per account group, what are the different partner functions? If you see per account group, so basically you have your different account groups. For example, SUPL is basically for a supplier account group. But predominantly your business partner basically picks this particular account group. So what are the partner functions that have been assigned? This is where your entire partner functions that have been assigned to the supplier group, right? That's where your partner functions, permissible groups per account group, you maintain it. So these are the things that you then subsequently you define all your under your partner roles. Yeah, partner settings, then you define all your partner schemas. So when you define your partner schemas, so where you allow all your group various partners schemas basically. So for example, it's a combination, it's a vendor sub range, it's a vendor plan. You have different partner schemas under which you have the different partner functions that have been assigned. So you can assign any number of partner functions. It could be, so against a particular vendor or a vendor, you can add any number of vendors. For example, in a partner function, you can add a vendor, you can add an invoicing party, you can add a contract address, ordering address. So you can add a number of partner functions as part of the thing. For example, you can enter an ordering party. Oh, yeah. So you can, okay, ordering address. Then specifically, if you want to mention as part of the function. You can add a number of partner functions that you all define as part of the setup, as part of this partner function you maintain. Okay, so a number of partner functions that is all defined. Then you can assign the partner schema. See, finally, whatever schema that you've done, they assign it to the account group. Ultimately, all the partner functions, whichever is there, gets assigned to the account groups as part of the setup. This is how your entire thing based on these partner groups, based on the say purchase organization. So based on the purchase organization gets assigned to the account groups. So this is how we are apart from the business partner settings as part of the partner determination in the purchasing side. These are the settings that is all maintained in the system. Yeah. So again, your partner settings in the purchase because you have a supplier master record. Again, in the purchasing documents, you define a set of partner schemas and assign it to the document types. So any particular document type, be it your purchase request, purchase order, or your scheduling agreement or a contract, everything that has to be assigned to the partner schema that is created. This is one of the settings that has to be maintained. Again, if when it comes to rebate agreements as well, there is a partner schema that you create and then assign to the arrangement types in the setup. But normally, when you talk about the rebate settlement, it all takes precedence as part of your rebate contract condition contract itself, where you can create your like have a sales rebate. You can create your goods receipt because regards to goods receipt, all these rebates can be done. So that's the reason they normally it's all defined as part of this setup itself. So other major change when it comes to your business partner is one of the change. So when you talk about any a master record in any system, predominantly it starts off with a vendor master. So starts off with a vendor master. Then you have your material master, purchasing info record, source list. Quote, let me write it. So probably people do not have an idea about. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Okay. Uh, okay. Let's explain the system itself rather than writing. Okay. Okay. So you have a master data predominantly a vendor master, purchase metal master, and you have your purchasing info record and your source list, quota arrangement, and your service master. These are predominantly all the master data comes in. As part of the vendor master, you have your business partner, which takes care of as part of your vendor master, you have all the business partner settings. Then it comes to a metal master. Again, as you know, the metal master basically carries forward all the views. Any particular material when you see it is all based on the views. So one thing in which metal master predominantly is because the change that has happened is there are two fields there are two views where the changes have actually occurred. So one is basically as part of your foreign trade setup. So you have your because when you have your foreign trade predominantly, let me open the organization level. Plant is 17. So a lot of fields were there, because apart from this company code and export import group, all these things, there are a lot of other fields which are there. So many fields which were there as part of the foreign trade group. So because your foreign trade as part of your standard setup, which was initially maintained, so they all been moved to GTS, Global Trade Services. That is one of the change, where your foreign trade, though your SAP FT component is basically aligned to some part of but majority of it has all moved to your so with SAP S/4HANA on-premise, your foreign trade predominantly solution is completely been moved out. Well, apart from these four fields, which might be required, because these are also not frequently used, which might be required tomorrow when you're integrating with a GATP system, GTS system. These tools will act as a reference key by which you integrate, and you can bring all the data, or you can reference the data to that. That's the reason they have put us, because your global trade services is basically taking all the foreign trades. So this is one of the change as part of the SAP S/4HANA is concerned. So, because right from 1511 edition, the foreign trade solutions is not aligned to SAP S4 HANA. So your global trade services basically the successor of all your business requirement. So a customer can basically leverage all this functionality as part of the on-premise setup, as well as on the cloud. Cloud basically, because cloud also they have integrated the similar setup. So if this is integrated to a third party foreign trade systems, so because if there's a third party foreign trade system, because of this functionality which is not available in SAP S4 HANA, so because you need to do some adjustments to the third party system, because when you have a GTS system, yes, because the fields will be aligned. But if you're integrating with the third party system, you need to see which are the fields that have not been aligned to the third party system. So in the third party system, there has to be some changes that needs to be done when it's connected to your when it's connected to your SAP S4 HANA system. So, so GTS system can be connected to SAP S4 HANA system to run all the foreign trade processes, because the compatibility of SAP S4 HANA system to GTS is compatible, because when it runs to when it wants to run the foreign trade. But as of now, GTS is maintained as a separate system, and a foreign trade component of SAP S4 HANA integrates the GTS component when it does all the export import transactions, right? So now because going forward, the plan is that GTS might be integrated, or maybe in any of the versions you can see GTS coming into SAP S4 HANA into the same box. As I said, eventually all modules will try to club into one single box, right? So that is the reason, as part of the foreign trade setup going forward, that's the reason they're getting all these provisions done. Tomorrow later it comes in that GTS component will bring all the foreign trade fields, so that let it not be a duplicacy is what they have maintained this particular minimum number of fields as part of the foreign trade. Okay. And one more thing is that they have something called as a commodity management, right? Your commodity management is one of the things that was basically there in SAP S4 HANA, SAP ECC, but now it has been technically switched off right from the on-premise version of 1511. They have technically switched off. So basically, when you see they were working majorly on the commodity pricing, or they're calling it as a CPE, commodity pricing engine. So because it was handling all the integration features with all your procurement documents, because your commodity involves, when you talk about a commodity, involves both your sales as well as your procurement setup, right? Where you're working on a lot of commodity risk management was being worked in. So then you have your commodity analysis, where you have mark to market, there is position reporting were all done. So now with this SAP S4 HANA, so there are a lot of differential and final invoicing as part of the procurement. So you had a lot of functionals as part of your commodity management. Your commodity management has already been technically switched off as part of this SAP S4 HANA setup. Okay. So when this is something that we'll have to understand, because commodity management people would have worked, because not everyone would have worked, because some people would have worked on commodity management in ECC, but commodity management has been completely switched off as part of the technical switched off as part of the SAP S4 HANA's component. This is one of the change. Okay. So when it comes to, because one more thing is basically the change that was happening with regards to the material length, right? When you talk about some material, okay. Apart from that, one more change is basically they have come out with this additional field called advanced planning. So advanced planning is basically, as I said, your production planning detailed scheduling has been brought into SAP S4 HANA. So this advanced planning is going to be the one once metal is activated for advanced planning. That's when your production planning with regards to a particular metal gets activated. That's the reason they brought this particular field. You have different production planning procedures as such, but with this advanced planning activation only, this particular production planning gets activated for the particular material. That's the reason they brought this additional field. Apart from that, all the other views, being it your accounting views, costing views, storage views, warehousing views, all these things remains to be the same. Apart from the changes that has done as part of your foreign trade management and as part of your advanced planning, which is brought in new into this SAP S4HANA setup. Okay. Then the other big change is basically on the material length type, right? Material length basically has been increased from 80 to from 18 to 40 characters, right? Metal length has been increased from 18 to 40 characters, because in SAP S4HANA, the going forward, all the metal lengths are all 40 characters. So whenever you're doing a system upgradation from ECC to SAP S4HANA, so metal field length would be kept as 18 in default. So when I talk about this, there is a transaction called FLETS. Basically, when you see, you do it with 18 characters, then you implement this node 2232296, then basically you extend a metal number. So okay, it opens a node, but still that's where they activated. So when you talk about, so all this metal length is now, when I talk about all this tables in the system, for example, your Mad Dog or a Mara. So all this material length has all been managed to 40 characters in the system. Even be it your Mad Dog or your Mara, all these things have been increased to 40 characters now in the system. And all your BAPIs have also been aligned. For example, I'm taking a goods movement BAPI. You see here from 18 characters, as per the BAPI alignment itself, they have done from, you see here, it was initially a 18 number, and it has been all been it's been increased to 40 characters. That's where all the BAPI alignment has also been done as part of the 40 characters in this particular setup. Okay. So this is one of the change that was done as part of this SAP S4HANA, from 18 characters to 40 characters they have done. So okay, that's where you have all these changes that is have. So okay, that's where one change is done. And a lot of transactions, as I said, apart from the standard transactions. So all these transactions, basically all these transactions have all been MB1B, MB1A, MB1C, all these transactions have been absolute, which I already showed. All these transactions. So basically all this transactions, MBNL, MBST, all these transactions have been aligned to only one particular table called MIGO. That is one of the major change that has happened. Then your Mara Marci in terms of your Mara Marci, where a lot of aggregated stock types were there, because aggregated stock types, where you see Marci was basically handling all the plant related stock, and MARD was handling all the storage location related stock. So that's where these things have been integrated to everything as MadDoc as one single table. Your MadDoc as one single table with the 337 fields. It is holding one single setup for all the transactions, because all this tables refers to the MadDoc. Ultimately, whenever any custom reports comes in, there is a custom view, but basically references to this particular table. That's where your custom view gets reference, based on which the table gets populated. The view gets populated from the table, and finally the report gets structured based on it. So if you want to have any special stock type, or any new stock type, right? That's the reason. Basically, then in that case, we'll have to create a new table and refer to the stock type to this MadDoc table, right? If you want to create a new stock type or any special stock that you use, again there is to be a table that used to be provisioned. So because some customers can come with such sort of requirement, that's where we that's where the provision of creating a new table and then referring to the has been included as part of it, because all these aggregated tables, right? So all these aggregated tables with regards to the plant and storage location, have all been they're all been this is all done on the fly, right? Because your MARC and MARD have been completely eliminated, and all these are all aggregate tables, stock aggregate tables they used to, and that used to refer to my MATDoc table. So just because it's been linked, so that's why they have eliminated that particular option of create. You'll have to create your new table and then refer to that particular table. Okay, this is one of the change.
Hello.
And yeah, tell me.
Yeah, in a CDS view, or where we are creating is a join inner tables in the CDS view.
Okay.
We can't use for Mara, Marcy, MARD, MARD, MA.
I didn't get it. When you're doing a CDS view, what you're saying, I didn't get it.
Yeah,
Using
while
CD.
creating any CDS view to join any tables.
Okay.
Okay. If it is an example VBAK, LIKP or LIPS or
Okay.
VBRK,
Okay.
where we are having a chance to joining that tables, inner joining the table in the
Okay.
CDS view by creating
Okay.
structure. So in that way,
Okay.
we can't use for the same joint inner tables for our joint merging the
See,
two tables in
no,
that
you
CDS
can
view with that
see what will happen is,
MARC.
see, still what you can do is you can do this merging, but only thing is that those views will get merged. So again, that views will be referencing to your physical tables there. So when you merge your, for example, your Mara and Marcy, right? MARC and MARD. So for example, that views will be referencing to the tables only, right? Even if you merge it, that will be as physical views, that will not be as tables. Finally, when you merge those two views, the views will be referencing to the tables only. You got my point? So still you will not have any table that is there. So when you talk about your views, so basically when you talk about the views, so I go to this thing, there's a table called which takes all these views, TADIR. So I'm just putting an object, DDLS. Let me. So you have, because there's a program ID against which you have, these are all your object names, right? These are all your object names based on which you get all the packages which have been aligned to the particular object. So these are all your CDS views in the system. There are specific CDS views which are all depends on the uh, uh, let me open, there's one more table. This is basically gives you all the views, and there is again a table. I'm just giving you an example of a CDS view, how it looks. So there is again this is one of the table. So when I talk about a CDS view, I am just referencing to. So these are all your this is all your DDL names, and these are all your respective CDS views that gets triggered, because these are all your CDS views based on which you can open any particular view here. You can take any particular view. You can go to SC11. One minute. So this is basically for a field length extension. This is basically 1 minute. I picked up a CDS view. DDL dependency. I'll just take a view here. I took a, this is basically a view. Okay. This is basically a DDL source from where all the views are triggered, all the mandatory elements. Because when you see any particular view, right, it will pick all this information. All this information will be triggered from the table level only, right? Even if you do a query out of it, even that particular views will be referencing to the table. So that is the reason they have not eliminated the tables, because even if you go to 16, you find those tables, right? But only thing is that it's been triggered as it has been stored as views in the backend. That's the reason I just wanted to show how this views will actually. So these are all your views, which is all triggered in the system, which is all stored as part of the views in the system. You got it right?
For customizing any view, when we are going to create any custom view, so that time
Okay.
also we can use for this standard tables.
Standard tables you can use. So though we call it as a table, it again become a view, right? You can create your view. In that view, you can put all these tables. But only thing is that ultimately what will happen is the table will reference. So ultimately what will happen is the table should reference to the standard with the physical table in the system, right? This table should reference to the physical table in the system. This will be as views, but still this will be populating from the tables that is existing in the system only, right?
Yeah, finally this you mean to say finally if it is a view, but it should the data is not stored in that view further level.
Further data. So normally when you see, let me check if I can write it here. So normally when you see here, so how it normally happens is, suppose there is some issue. So normally when you see any custom reports, your custom reports, what will happen is, if it is okay, let me good. Got it. So normally when you see any custom report, if you see here, let me. So normally if you see any custom report, how it gets selected, because your custom report will be referencing to your standard tables for your standard tables, which are there as which are maintained as views now in the system. So it will be redirected to a compatibility view, right? Because there will be compatibility view to which it will be redirected. Post which, once that redirection happens, it will be reading the compatibility view which is created. That will be reading to your physical table. You got this right? So normally when you see any custom report which will hold the particular view, which will be having a table where which is now maintained as a view, that will be going, because there will be a select read, that will be a select statement will do the reading when it does the querying, right? There's a select statement that will be doing that will be doing referencing to the table, and finally that will be redirected to a compatibility view, because in the backend there will be compatibility view that will be created, that will be reading the physical table in the system. Let it open. I want to write it because so that we will have an understanding. Okay. 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 So whenever. Oh, No, there is some issue. Okay, let me use this. Okay, so I have a custom report, right? My custom report will have, for example, your Mara, Marcy, all these tables, right? So what will happen is it will be referencing to this Mara and Marcy, right? As per the report, it will read the report and there will be a select statement that will be going to this Mara, Marcy, all these things such as rare attachment. Then what will happen is that will get redirected to, for example, there will be a compatibility view. That basically your core data services view, which is basically for your virtual data model, right? That will basically do the reading with regards to your MatDoc table, right? That's where there will be a select statement which will be reading, which will be referencing to the table, and it will be redirected to a compatibility view. In the backend, it will all be aligned to a compatibility view because the compatibility view will be ones that could read from the physical tables, right? I think this is clear in what how the read happens whenever there is any report or any list out of tables is. So same thing whenever you have your views that you're creating, when you're creating your Mara and Marcy in the system, still that will be referencing to the physical tables. That is again that will be leading to their respective compatibility view in the system. That will be referencing to the MatDoc table. Is this clear?
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay, so this is one of the change that was done. Apart from that, because for example, there was previously there was where they were taking some previously there is one more new table that is introduced as part of this SAP S4 HANA. The new table is basically called as a SE16H. SE16 is something. SE16, XE16N were there, but the SAP S4 HANA they come out with because of this aggregates that needs to be done. So SE16H is a new table. New transaction where you can do some basically this can this SE16H as a transaction will allow you to take text changes. So if there is any joint queries, so you can select any number of joint queries in the system. So you can I'll tell you. So basically because there is something called as a there's a thing called data connection, database connection. So you can display which is the database connection which you can use for this because I'll check if there's. So you have your data connection because this again goes by your HANA search in the system because it has to go and search and it has to physically follow the respective data connections required. So basically that's where your SE16H is able to check all the physical connection to the database. So because the table, because there is something called as an outer join in the system. So when I talk about this outer join, so all the basic definition output of any primary table selected and displays because you can select a primary table in the system. So for example, your KN A1, sorry, KN A1. Okay. Okay, this table, I'll have to search the right connection. Let me check if this table is reading it. The table is connection. 1 minute. Uh, 1 minute. What is the real CAVA? Okay, here this is I'm doing an outer join LFA1 layout. Here I can because you have your different set of outer joins. So you have your outer join that has been defined in the system. Then based on which you have a column as group here. So you can enter any group or you can enter any set that would correspond to the respective relevant field in the setup. Basically for getting your ALV output, you can define any set of things as part of this group here You can enter anything as part of the group here. Then you can there is a thing called total here, right? Your total basically all the rows which are all formed of the query. So there is a grouping rule that you can select it, and that's where your entire thing will get grouped in the system. Okay, so they'll be maintaining that. Predominantly where this application of this would actually come in is, so whenever you are doing your SC16 transaction in the system, so basically what they will do is they will whenever you want to query anything, so for example you can query the number of name. So against a particular name, what are the different against a particular client, how many entries are acquired? So what is the reconciliation account? It gives you all the aggregated supplier information. For example, if you take a simple case of if I want to take a case of I'll just remove this part of the join. So normally where they use it is, for example, I'm using your BKPF as a table. BKPF is basically which triggers all the accounting related documents, right? When you talk about BKPF and then I go for a grouping. Okay. For example, against a particular company code. And then I go. Say against a company code, how many number of entries are there? All these things, because you don't have, because the aggregation is basically this table will be able to tell you. The number of aggregation, for example, against a company code. So how many entries are there? So all these things that is all triggered as part of this thing. Again, if you want to go for a company code, you remove this, then you go for a fiscal year. Against the fiscal year, how many groupings are there as part of the BKPF? This gives you against a particular fiscal year, so many entries are there. Against a particular fiscal year, this gives you all this combination of all this grouping that is all done. That's when they'll be using this particular setup in the system. SC16H. For aggregation purpose, they have introduced one new table in the system. So let me set LFA1. I think this is the one. This is available.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, and number of entries we can see in existing system also for particular
No, but
physical year or particular company code. Here
no,
itself
but
we can see general data display where we are executing background and number of entries there. In our SC16N or some other, I think so. We can able to see so what is the here
no,
any
here it groups
advantage for that.
here it groups together and it gives you one report. Here, when you talk about your SC16N, right? When you talk about your SC16 or SC16N, right? So for example, I put the same BKPF, right? So here, if you group it, so you get how many number of entries, right? So 1 minute. You get so many entries, but you cannot go and bifurcate it account company code or any fiscal year variant against the year wise. You cannot go and do it, right? You cannot get this sort of report. Again, you'll have to extract the report, then you will have to go and filter out in the report, then you'll have to do it. Here, you can do the sorting there and there grouping, and you can get as part of one single report itself. Because previously, what they used to do is there was a transaction called, I'm not sure how many people, there was a transaction called TANA as a transaction. Basically, which was basically doing all this analysis part of thing. There's a table analysis called as TANA as a transaction. Basically reduced because this was leading to a lot of inconsistencies in the system. That's the reason they have brought down this SC16H as a replacement for this TANA. Because this TANA, when you run it, right, it used to run as batch job, right? Your TANA as such was using batch job to run it. So now with this, so they were running it basically based. We'll have to create a variant, and they used to run it in the background. This TANA, all this thing. So now with this SAP S4 HANA, they brought in this SC16H as a replacement for this TANA. So they maintain this, but predominantly they have eliminated. They asked them they are not preferring to use this TANA. They're still instead using this SC16H in the system, right? So let me show.
Yeah.
show LFA1. No, I'm just giving you what are the changes that was there. What are the changes that was all there? I'm just showing it to you so that you get to know for what purpose has this change been introduced in the system. Just give a minute. Okay. Okay. So for this for aggregating all these details is what this particular table has been introduced. So this is one of the change that has come in as part of this thing. Then coming to as I said, your changes with regards to the transactions, T codes that have been done. So then you have your okay. So there was because there was some work list that was all getting triggered. Work list was basically there was one table called I'm not sure how many people would have used this table. Basically, all the indexes for all your automatic document adjustment. There was a table called Wine. So basically, there are some changes that was done to because there is a variable key table, variable key field by the backend, which was all field length of the variable key of this particular table. Basically, they have done for the document because when you have a metal and change of 40, even this variable key for this table, because these are doing the automatic document adjustment in the system for all this. For whenever there is a automatic document adjustment, it was all managed through this wind as a table, and there was a table called S11. The variable key component of this particular tables have been thing. And previously for all this work list creation as part of this setup, there was a table called MEI4 that has been completely eliminated. There's a transaction called MEI4. I'm not sure because not everyone would have used this, but someone who has used this particular thing, that particular MEI4 as a transaction has been eliminated. This is one thing that has come in as part of this SAP S4HANA setup. So MEI4 as a table which was used basically for document because ultimately when you're having a 18 to 40, right, against in the back end, a lot of documents have to be adjusted. The document adjustments were all happening through this wind and your wind and your S111 table, because the variable key in that was basically 18 characters. They've adjusted in the back end in the program level, they've adjusted to 18 to 40 characters. So then because all this work list creation for the transaction is MEI4 which was using it, that has been eliminated now as part of this SAP S4HANA. This is all in-depth details into what changes have actually happened in the system. Okay. Coming back to the setup, what we did, what I was talking to you about the transaction data. Your sorry, master data. Master data one is basically a metal master where the changes have happened, and your as far as then you are a metal master, then your business partner where the changes. Apart from that, your purchase info record or a source list or your quota arrangement, they have not done any changes because your purchase info record will still have this combination of your mistake. Sorry. Purchase info record will have the combination of all your setup. Okay. Again, basically the configuration of all these changes have happened. Apart from that, your purchase info record, your source list or a quota arrangement, which is all a part of your master data, they have not done any changes to that particular quota arrangement or a source list. Okay, then coming to some of the apps. So when you talk about, I just want to touch base on some apps basically to show how this usability of apps have been triggered in the system. Let me open it. There's an app called Monitor Metal Coverage. Let me open it. Okay. So basically all this, how this MRP, because you know that in MRP 2 view of your metal master, we have a procurement type as an E in-house. Basically E is an in-house and F is an external procurement. So under this MRP 2 view of your metal master. So basically otherwise you have your procurement type X, which enables all your MRP planners to convert your planned order to production order. So basically when I talk about this particular app gives you an option of seeing what are the metals that are all having issues, or which are the ones that have that needs to be prioritized on immediate basis, based on which they have done all this thing. So moderate metal shortage because this particular has gives you a holistic view to see if there's any to address any metal shortages. Basically this gives you all simulation capabilities with regards to all your externally procured materials. Predominantly when you see also external procurement metals, so basically this is the initial screen which opens. So here you can go to any particular app, then you can manage all your materials. So here you can see stock situation of any individual material. So here the stock because your SAP S4HANA basically does even you can run an MRP run with this. You can see the shortage of a material here, and you can directly trigger an MRP run as such. So you can give all the material information. So wherever you find there is a shortage of stock, so if you find there is a shortage of stock, so based on which you can directly start an MRP run. So this apps gives you an instantaneous to see where there is a shortage. Immediately they can trigger MRP run. If they find the shortage, then MRP would again, as per the MRP process, you will create planned orders. Planned orders get converted to your production orders. So purchase production orders. Then you can, as if it's taking a product procurement route, it creates a PRs and backends. All this PO gets triggered in the system. So here as part of this, then you have your open stock requirements list. Okay, there's a role that is required. Okay, you can create a fact sheets, because from here you can trigger to the, once you run an MRP, here itself you can trigger to the monitor metal. You can create to the stock requirements and check what are the planned orders against what are the production orders that have been triggered in real time. That's why this sort of information, this a fact sheet gives you all the information with regards to this particular material. So it gives you all the information with regards to what are the purchase orders against the particular material. So if there's any sales order that have been aligned, because this being a procurement assembly sub-assembly material, so we'll not have sales orders to this, but we'll have all the production orders that have been aligned to this particular thing. So this is where one of the thing which is created, which is all triggered in the system. So okay, so then this is one of the app, very critical app when it comes to integration, because this is an integration between all your sales, procurement and your manufacturing. This is one of the thing. Again, this is all aligned to more of a purchasing, because it basically handles all this externally procured materials, right? Externally procured materials where it's all aligned to the production side. Okay, so there is one more app called as manage. That's why I told more of this is more of an app oriented. So a lot of apps that have been integrated in the system. Request. Okay, there are no change request or details. Basically, this gives you all the dashboard with regards to if there is any change request that has come in. Whenever you're changing a quantity, right? When you're changing a quantity, so how do you manage all the change requests? So against the particular metal, if there is any change request that have been come, so with already you have released a purchase order, the change request that has come with regards to the particular material, what sort of changes applied, because there's no change request. If there is a change request, this app will populate all the change requests that has come in. So in real time you can see what is the initial request that was placed for a purchase order, how the initial requests have been changed. So then you can analyze as to for what purpose it has been changed, whether there was any trigger that was required after the MRP run, right? So basically there will be a change request that will be created whenever there is any requirement changes that is happening. There will be, you can manually also go and create a change request. That's where your entire change request will be triggered. So then, for example, let me show you as part of the procurement. So purchase requisition. Then there is called as a managed purchase requisition. So this I've created a purchase request. That I created a purchase requisition. Suppose I want to create a contract with reference to purchase requisition or create an RFQ with reference to purchase requisition. This app gives you directly, you can click on the particular purchase requisition, and if there are multiple sources, you can select the. So you can select if there are multiple sources. These are all your supplier sources. So you can select for which vendor it has to be created. Then you can create directly a purchase order. Okay, some errors are there. Or you can create an RFQ. Let me check. Purchase order type, you will have to enter it. So standard PO, save. Okay. The purchase requisition itself, there was some issue. So, okay, let me create one purchase requisition. Create purchase requisition. So in purchase requisition, directly I can create a purchase order or create RFQ. I can create a contract, because that's where your purchase requisition, you will be able to create a contract, RFQ, or a purchase order with reference to a purchase requisition, right? So that's why we ran a cycle where we created a purchase requisition. From there, it was referencing to an RFQ, and from there, it was referencing to the quotation that was come in. Then we put all the quotations, then we did the price comparison, then finally we did the vendor evaluations. Based on the vendor evaluations, it triggered, it showed us what is the right thing that can be delivered to the can be released for the purchase order. Then we created a purchase order with reference to the respective RFQ which has been proposed. So then your purchase order was created, right? Similarly, you can create from purchase request, you can trigger a contract as well. From contract, again you can trigger a purchase order. That's where you can use this purchase request for creating a contract, based on which you can trigger a purchase order. Okay, I think this is pretty slow. So these sort of apps that have been, so many apps that are come in. So basically helps in faster. You can because let me check why this is very slow today. Purchase order processing, as such, you have multiple apps of this purchase order processing. You can display, you can create your own purchase orders, then you can print purchase orders. So my purchasing document items will give you all the information which is created from my end. So if there is any because pertaining to whatever purchase request that is all created from my end, I can list all the purchase requisition rather than going to EKK1, putting your number and then entering all the information, which is all created from your end, will all get triggered in the system. It will all be pulled from based on your login, whatever login that you have done, based on which whatever purchase orders that you have created, it will pull out from your end. That's why individually you have personalized apps of this sort. Then still customer wants to have some specific, a lot of apps have been personalized now to specific requirements, based on which it gives you the ease of transactioning or ease of moving from one particular functionality to the other. But still, there are options that are given where you can trigger the purchase. You can see these are all your purchase requisition for against a particular supplier ID which have been created. Number of purchase requisition item, number of purchase requisition that has been created, as against total number of purchase orders that have been created, right? As against what are the goods received that are created. all the supplier invoices that are created, gives you all the information one shot in the system. Or you can go and trigger it out based on the supplier, how much of purchase orders or purchase requests that has been created in the system. So manage purchase display, then you can monitor all the purchase requisition items. Item wise, you can go and select it. So that's where you have all this information on the Fiori side, because majorly if you see on the Fiori side, you can create a lot of purchase requisitions in the system, and you can directly assign the source and create a purchase order directly. You can create from a purchase requisition, you can directly create a purchase order. No need to go to MA20. Previously used to go to multiple transactions where you used to do it and used to create it, right? Because now it gives you all the option of creately, if there's any mass changes to purchase requisition, directly it gets triggered. So based on which you can check what are the mass change logs that have happened, because the people keep on changing with regards to mass change of purchase requisition. You can see what are the mass change logs that have happened with regards to the purchase requisition, gives you all the information with regards to application logs. If there's an application log, it gets triggered in the system. Okay. Then there is one more app called as a manage workflow. Okay. Manage workflow for a purchase requisition or purchase orders. So what is a manage workflow? Previously, it used to go a lot of approvals which used to create, right? Used to create a lot of approvals because you used to create. So for example, let me show you. I've created one. I'll show you one. So for example, here you create for this particular purchase order. So how you want to initiate first level approval, second level approval, because again this has to be linked to a success factor system, because all your personal information will be coming. Whoever is there will be coming from your level of approvals there. So this particular app gives you can set what is the first level approval, what is the second level approval. Then you will activate that particular thing. So this is currently in the active mode. You can deactivate or you can create a new activate, where you can maintain all the sequence steps. So you have all your release strategies, right? Release strategies that are maintaining the system. All this release strategies are maintaining, that is all maintained through app. Suppose who is the level of approval for a purchase order, who is the second level of approval, all these things can be created in this particular workflow details. So if you want to add here, I can add here. So company code of 1710 greater than I set it as 1000 USD. Okay. So then I go for a release of purchase. I don't go for automated release. I go for a release of your purchase order. Here I set all the preconditions. So here if the company code is 1710, here if the for example, okay, total value net 10,000 USD. Okay. So what you are doing it in the backend, right? Like we are doing your release strategy, release indicators, all these things which are using for triggering the workflow. This is all done in the apps now. Company code, the currency of the PO, type of the PO document, it will be NB. NB is basically for a standard purchase order document. So then purchase order rejected, then you'll have to cancel workflow. Or if you want to have an exceptional handling, you can give it to the baddie, or you can create your own users, because if you want to, you can create whoever are users who are all going to be using this particular setup. This is where you enter it, then add further. Okay, so I put it as a role as a baddie itself for a specific user, then you can add it. Okay, company code sequence, which is all triggered in the system. Okay. So we'll have to activate the workflow. Want to do any editing? So just give a minute. Step sequence you can maintain. Who are all going to be the manager? You can maintain it here also. First level manager, second level manager. So based on which it triggers who, what is what, because based on which when the personal management is integrated to the system, so you'll know who is the first level manager. If probably if he's a lob wise he is responsible, or if a higher level if the cost center wise he is responsible. So it goes to different levels by which moment you create a purchase order, then it triggers it refers to this it references to this particular workflow. It automatically triggers. These are all the different set of apps that have been triggered in the system. That's where you have all these apps that have been triggered used in the system based on which you can create your own set of functionalities in the system. Okay, so this is one of the thing that comes that is that when it comes to your uh, uh, purchase requisition which have been triggered as apps in the system. Then you have a lot of analytical tiles, as I said. You have a lot of analytical tiles as well, which is all helping in okay. Then there is you want to manage all your sources of supply. Sorry, let me show you. Manage all your sources of supply. What is that? There is some issue with the OData service. Okay, so all your sources of supply here, it gives you all the sources of supply with regards to this. You can see if you want what are the different info records based on which you can see here. It's a source list. From your source of supply, you can directly create a source list. This again on the master data side, you can create a source list for whichever material you require. You can create your own source list. Source list information can be triggered. So you can create for the material. So this is already an existing source list. You want to create anything new, you can create anything new, or else you can. This is how the entire source list will get triggered in the system. So all this thing, what is the source list, whether the source list is relevant for MRV or not. So source list again one of the master data, right? So you have different sort of apps even for the master data where we can use it and you can trigger this particular sources of supply in the system. Okay. Yeah, with this master data setup, which a lot of apps have been aligned. So we'll see tomorrow as to some of the configuration, because what I saw is a master data setup. Then in the configuration side also, based on all these transactions, I'll show you some of the configuration which is required, because those configuration is not something new that has come from ECC setup only, but we'll have to understand those configurations for us to know in depth of what this MM set of configurations is. So that now I'm toggling between apps as well, because a lot of apps are also equivalently important, because predominantly everything is on Fiori, right? So mostly when you talk about the apps, a lot of apps have been aligned on the AMM side. So that's the reason I'm putting all these apps and I'm trying to show this, because each app has its own set of functionality. So all this functionality which an MM are using now, it's all categorized as part of the apps only here, right? So that is the reason. Similarly, for your for example, your supplier evaluations as well, a lot of apps are, when you talk about all this supplier evaluation. So you have a supplier, evaluate all your suppliers. So if you want to, you can see what are the suppliers that have been evaluated, or you can. So you can do all sort of evaluations which a supplier has done by purchasing category, by document. So like this, what sort of information, and you can go in depth, right? You can go by this by difference of your purchase requisitions. So you can have this sort of apps will give you all the information with regards to, based on which once your evaluation is there, you can directly create a purchase order. You can with the purchase order that is created, either you can create a new purchase order, or if a purchase order that is created, you can directly post a goods receipt for the purchase order, right? You have information which by which all the goods information directly occurring once your purchase order is there, from where you can directly toggle to the different apps in the system. That's where your supplier evaluations which are happening, there are different prices. So by price wise, you can have a supplier evaluation. Basically by quantity wise, you can have a supplier evaluation by the time. So basically based on the delivery date, based on supplier delivery date, you have the supplier evaluation, based on which you have information based on the supplier invoices, supplier information, supplier evaluation. You can have all this set up in the system. So you have all this thing that is available as part of the SAP S/4HANA. But when it comes to all this setup, because it makes everyone's life, especially when you see when you're training the end users as such, these apps will come into picture, because as part of the project implementation, you have a training phase as well. These apps are the ones that needs to be trained to them, saying what is the functionality of each app, so how these apps are going to help them in day-to-day activities. A procurement manager or a production manager, how is these apps will aid him in seeing what are the requirements, how he can manage all the requirements in terms of his stock levels, or his production order levels. All these things you can have this sort of apps that is in. So that's where more of app-based sourcing is what that has all been done as part of this SAP S/4HANA structure. Yeah. So any questions on this from anyone? So if you have a system, you can yourself toggle and you can use all these apps in the system, and you can see how this each app, the functionalities have all been defined in the system. So based on the drill down options, because each I told you about a Fiori architecture, right? It all works on the KPI modelers and the drill down options. So these are all your drill down options that have been triggered, that have been defined as part of the KPI. Again, there is an OData service against every app. When you go to your Fiori apps library, there is every app, there is an OData service that has been defined, by which an OData service, it pulls out that particular data, and basically that triggers from the backend, right? All this VDM layers, VDM and your core data services layers, that pulls out, which integrates to an embedded analytics engine, from where you have an integration through a raw data service to the Fiori layer, by which the information gets popped out into my Fiori layer, into the respective Fiori apps in the system. Yeah. Okay. If there are no questions, then yeah. So we can close at this. Tomorrow I'll be saying I'll be showing some of the functionalities in terms of the configuration, because configuration is something where we'll have to know some of the configurations to understand how this all configured in the system, how we have done our purchase order or purchase requisition, RFQ configurations, all these things. I'll be touching base on the configuration side. Today, I wanted to know how these apps are helping in master data setup, being it converting your purchase order to purchase transaction side, how this functionality is working. But tomorrow I'll show the configuration side of it, which is in the SPRO settings. Yeah.